Okay. You know, when I set out to do these videos, I like to do them without the use of a saw, right? I see a lot of people with saw cut wood and stuff. This is just broken by foot for use as a baton, and this here was a maple that was not doing so well, and I was about to tension cut it, and it broke on me down at the base. It was a little rotted down there, so I did pick a good tree. I do try to pick trees, you know, that are weakened, or maybe in a spot that, you know, they're not going to grow well. And those are the trees that I'll harvest for something like this video. Now, you can chop all day long with this knife doing something like this, you know. It's not typically my preferred method. I would rather do this. And this maple, as I said, is no joke. I mean, this is some really, really good stuff. All right, so as you can see, I mean, we got the start of probably a great tent peg there. Nothing remotely wrong with this knife at all. I was not overusing it, in my opinion. That would be something that I would hope that this knife would be able to handle, right? A little bit of force like that. Once again, I would be using a hatchet instead of this knife and a baton. Or maybe even a handsaw. You don't want to abuse your tools, you know, especially if people, you know, are looking for a one-tool option. You definitely don't want to be beating on your one-tool option. Now, we can get this if we're going to make the tent peg, right? We can do this all day, right? And sit here and skim that down, right? I can do this and try to baton it. We can baton it at different angles. I like to use sometimes the same method that I would a hatchet or an axe, and just do this. You work your way up a little bit, and that sort of splits down the fibers. Okay, do it again just here. Keep just doing little quarter turns. We're not in a hurry to do anything with our knife, or at least you shouldn't be, unless you're in a combat setting or some wild emergency scenario. This is just some little wrist flicks just to hog this down a little bit, so I'm not spending my entire time chopping. Usually with your tent pegs, you're going to want to not have it so pointed so it's a little bit stronger, right? Okay, and that would be plenty enough to be driving into the ground. Now for the back side of this, we have a nice spot here so we can you know, attach our line. Try to always keep this in view of the camera. And I also don't like to use many chopping blocks and things like that. Although in some previous videos I had a sawbuck that I had made, and I would, you know, review some knives on that. This here is just typically exactly what you'd find out in the woods, right? You can see how much we've gone through that there. All right, maybe you can't. I hope you can. No problem biting into that. Now I can reverse, you know, chest lever grip that notch, right? That's right there. I can do that, or I can do the same method here. There we go. All right, and that will give us enough space there to hold on to some cordage. You don't really need to, you know, go way in, because obviously if you do have to pound this, you may, you know, sort of jeopardize your tent peg a little bit by going in too deep into the pithy portion of the wood, and you may split this out, you know, when you go to pound it in. We can just chamfer this here. Being a woodsman, as many of you know, a lot of times the work isn't really that pretty, right? We're not putting these pictures up all over the place, you know. We're doing these types of things for a reason in the woods, you know. Maybe a storm's going to come in later in the day, and we're just getting our camp ready to go, right? Ready to rock. So here we go. I mean, this here's a usable tent peg out of some hard maple, right? Good stuff. And what do you know? I mean, the knife held up. It didn't bend, it didn't break, it didn't rust instantly either. Of course, I'm being really sarcastic. Okay, stay tuned. We'll do a few more things with this blade.